Well, it's been a couple of weeks since I've been here, and all of a sudden it feels like I've got so many jobs to do. And I've got some onions here to plant out. A little bit further along, we've got the broad beans to plant out, and it is a beautiful day today. I might not look it, it's a bit overcast, but yesterday and today are probably the first days this year, I think, when we've actually got some warmth. It's actually quite warm. Yesterday I was out in my shorts and t-shirt playing football with Robbie, and today, I haven't got my shorts on today, but it's about 12 degrees C, and what a difference that makes. Honestly, I'm not being fooled into it yet. There is still around here, what are we now? Into March, we've still probably got 2 months of risk of frost still to come. I'm not being fooled by it. The dodgy weather is gonna come, but all of a sudden, I don't know if it's the warm weather or what, but I feel like I'm behind. Oh, I've got this panic. You see, I've not been here for probably 2 weeks. I've had loads of other stuff on, things to do, and I've eventually made it back up. And I'm a little bit worried. I'm a little bit, not quite in panic mode yet, because when I look around, things are relatively under control, but I'm just feeling I'm feeling a bit behind all of a sudden, and I just need to get my finger out and get on with stuff. But today, it's a good day. I mean, what a time of year it is. You're starting to plant stuff out. See, we've got the broad beans, we've got the onion sets ready to go out. So enough of me waffling on to you about things I'm going to do, and I should probably actually get on and do them. So just while I'm doing this, I've got a few things to talk to you about and tell you about, things that are going on. One thing actually that I'm going to show you is, those of you who've been sort of following along with my bit of my sort of onion dilemma kind of thing, the bed that's behind this one, that's got the overwintering Japanese onions in, they were looking terrible. Now they're looking awful. Now there's a little bit of an update on that. I'll show you those in a bit. We'll go over there and have a look. So you remember that these ones here, these onion sets that I've got, I don't normally do sets. These are a bit of an emergency panic buy because the Japanese ones were looking so rubbish. So we're going to put them in here. This bed, again, you might remember this bed. This was the scene of the disaster over the winter. So we had some beautiful, and I kid you not, beautiful looking Mizuna and pak choi in here. And it's usually pretty hardy, it's pretty good over the winter. But we had a few days where it was down to sort of -6, -7, -8, and it got hammered. They just died. They just went, I came up and it was just a soggy, horrible mess in here. So we're gonna replace it with some onions. And if you can see, actually, I don't know if you can quite see on the camera or not, but this bed here, over here, this has got the garlic in it as well, and the garlic's looking pretty good at the moment. I can see something's had a little bit of a nibble at 1 or 2 bits, nothing too bad. It looks as though it's had a bit of a taste and sort of decided, nah, this isn't for me. So it's not too bad, it looks all right, but something has definitely had a little bit of a nibble. And we've got a different pest problem inside the polytunnel, and I'll show you that after we've faffed about out here as well. But I've done a little bit of prep on this bed just before I pressed record then. Nothing much. I've just cleared out some hand weeding. There was some little weeds growing in it. It was a bit fusty. It's not been touched for a while. It got a bit mossy on the top. Just sort of taking all that out, giving it a bit of a rub over. Holes in there. So the way I measure my distance for my onions, we use a hori knife, and it's pretty much a blade width. So the length of the blade, I should say, between them sort of width way, and the length of the blade, again, sort of up and down the way. Easy as that, works for me, seems to work every year. And in each of the little holes, I'm putting a good sprinkle of the old fish, blood and bone, and it couldn't really be as simple as that. And I think I've actually got quite a lot more onion sets back in the greenhouse, and they're looking smashing actually. They're looking really, really good to go out. And I think last year, normally I wouldn't do this many onions, and I'm just sprinkling what I've got left in my hand there over the bed. Normally I wouldn't do this many onions. There's only so many onions you can have. But, let's be honest, I use loads of them, so it's a good thing to grow. I do use a lot of them, and they're pretty easy to look after. I mean, the sets, look at these. All I've done with these sets, chuck them in the cell tray, chuck them in the greenhouse. They're looking absolutely smashing. Just the right time to be getting them out. You can see the roots just starting to come out the bottom of the cells there. Brilliant time to get them out. I'm going to put them in here with just this little bit of work we're doing today, And that's going to be about it. They'll need watering every now and again. They'll need a bit of watering, a bit of weeding in between them. Apart from that, they're just going to sit here and grow. So in terms of things to do that are going to be relatively easy, and I'm going to put that, the root system, honestly, the roots are looking fantastic on that. It's looking brilliant. They're not quite, I say it was just coming out the bottom of the cell. They're not quite sort of pot bound yet, root bound, where it's sort of wrapping its way all the way around. So they are looking absolutely blooming marvellous. So I do have some others. I've got this variety here, actually, let you know that I'm putting out. This is Sturon that are going out, and I think I got these ones from Jenny, the Moorside gardener. She sent them over as a bit of a gift, a bit of a sort of thing to try out. So I'm giving them a try. And the other ones I've got some different varieties as well that I've not tried before, from Ian over at Grown Local. So we'll get them out over probably the next week, probably next weekend, because I've got a bit of a busy week coming up. I'm going to be a best man at a wedding on Friday, so I'm busy. I've been busy writing my speech, and I think it's pretty much done. You know, the speech is pretty much done. So now I'm into practicing mode and reading through it all the time, just so I'm a bit sort of, you know, just so it comes across well at the wedding itself. Because I want to do a good job. Obviously, it's a bit of an honour to be asked to be the best man. You know, it's a bit of a thing. So I'm really looking forward to it. I think it's going to be a brilliant day. I think so that's next Friday. So maybe next weekend's video might have a bit of an update. And if anybody watched it, the sort of thing that I do with Tony Smith on a Friday night, Thank Potty It's Friday, talked about it on there a little bit on Friday's show that just went out. And then again, I'll probably talk about it for this Friday's show going out. So if you're watching Thank Potty It's Friday next Friday, whilst you're watching it, normally I'm in the live chat. I won't be in the live chat because I'll actually be at the wedding itself. So there you go. There's my next Friday. So I'm just pushing these onion sets in. And tell you what, one thing I will say about these onion sets, this is one of the reasons why I do them in the cell trays. There's a couple of reasons. One, I want them established. If they get attacked by bugs or anything like that, they're going to be pretty robust than if they're a lot smaller. The other thing is, I can see what's germinated and what hasn't. So I'm not putting anything in the bed that hasn't germinated or isn't going to germinate. And out of all of these, how many have I got here? 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24, 28 cells. Only one of the onion sets hasn't germinated. So that's pretty good going. Right, enough waffling on. Get on with the jobs. I'm going to get on with these. I'm going to finish putting them out. I'll show you what they look like at the end. And like I say, we've got a few other things to look about at to see what's going on around here at the moment. So they're looking a bit meh, is how I'd sum them up. If you saw them the last time, they'd been hit by slugs, they'd been hit by frost, they'd been hit by all sorts of stuff. And I think I'd had a bit of an issue where the enviromesh that normally covers this bed had been lying on top of them. It had got wet, it had frozen, it had caused all sorts of problems. Now they're not looking terrible. There are some survivors. This one nearest the camera being the best example, and there's ones down that row there in the go over there. I've had a quick count up and there's about 9 that have survived, thereabouts. Particularly in the middle of the bed there seems to be where it's been worse hit. So right in the middle there, they all seem to have died, whereas the ones around the edges seems to have survived. But not to worry, we can fill the gaps up with some of those onion sets. So the bed that I did before, we've got a few left. We'll just fill the gaps in here, so we're filling the space up, and there's still things growing all the way throughout the year. We're making some good progress, and apologies for the squinting. The sun's come out now. I tell you what a difference it makes today. It is lovely and warm. The sun is out. It's been, I feel it's been quite a long winter. It's been quite drab, it's been quite grey, it's been cold. It's just not been a really, really cold winter. But I've just been feeling, especially over the past few weeks, just been feeling like I need some good weather, like a bit of sunshine, a bit of warmth. And I tell you what, it's not off a tonic today for lifting the spirits and getting jobs done around and about the allotment. So let me just show you what I've been up to. So we've been pottering about doing a few bits and pieces. Let's spin you around and we'll have a look. So this is the onions that I put out before, nothing too complicated. You can see we're getting a bit closer, you can see the space in there. They've got plenty enough room there to grow. With them being sets, I probably will harvest them just a little bit early, just to stop them from bolting, because when you do them from sets, there's always that risk that they're going to bolt in the summer. Now I've started prepping here for the broad beans, and you can see all I've done here, we've just got a trench all the way along, slightly different to how we're doing the onions. You know, onions went in little individual sort of holes in the ground. Big long trench here, apart from in the middle there where the pole for the frame goes in. We're not going to dig that up. We've put a sort of whole load of the fish blood and bone in here. The broad beans are pretty hungry plants, so they need quite a lot of nutrition. So we'll stick them in the trench. And speaking of sticking them in the trench, I'd best get on with it. I guess one of the other main differences to show you about how I've done the broad beans is they're in these root trainers. Now this is well loved. This is a bit battered and broken. It's sellotaped up here where I've split the tray. This plastic, you know, I've probably had this 4 or 5 years. The plastic, it gets in the sunshine, it gets brittle, it starts to crack, but you know, it's still getting used. And we can show you these. Look at the roots on them. They're absolute bobby dazzlers then. They're looking good. We've got one there that's not germinated, but we'll not worry too much about that. This is a variety Aqueductic Claudia. This one is, and I wasn't actually going to do broad beans this year. I was late to doing them. These haven't been in very long, but you know, you can see from the plants themselves, they're starting to catch up already. They'll be growing in no time. And like the onions, I don't think I finished saying about the onions before actually, that I had spare beds last year. I think those two over there ended up as sort of spare beds, and one of the ones over there, and I'm planning on filling them with onions this year. So the onions are going to go in the beds that were spare last year, because I don't like having spare space. Dead easy, just like them, the ones before, chuck them in, let them grow, jobs are good. And same with the broad beans. I only really utilised this frame here, so the frame that's behind me didn't really get used last year. So I'm thinking, get some broad beans in, do it there, and then the other 3 rows that I'll have will all be peas. Well, no, because I might do some French beans as well. Anyway, who knows anyway, but we're going to fill up some of the space with the broad beans. You can see there, look, they come out of the root trainers absolutely beautifully. I'm just going to stick them in the trench, dead simple again. They're probably going in there about 6 inches apart. I'm not measuring, I'm just doing it by eye. It doesn't need to be absolutely perfect every time I do it. And it is literally just a case of rinse and repeat all the way along. They might end up a little bit closer together, and I will actually show you that at the end. And I say the good thing I like about these root trainers as well is to split open like that. So when you've got big, huge root systems on your little plants like that, it's dead easy to get them out and get them in your trench, get them in your, wherever you're putting them. And I'll not forget to put the label in so I can remember the variety of them. When you're putting them in, it just makes life a whole lot easier. So let me get the rest of these out. I'm looking at them now, how many's left in here, how much space I've got left. They will get pushed up a little bit closer together. They'll probably end up 2 or 3 inches apart, but I'm okay with that. They'll grow fine. They'll be absolutely smashing. Let me finish it off and we'll come back and we'll show you how it's looking. And I've got those other little bits and pieces I need to show you just towards the end there. Well, despite me squinting at the sun, and who'd have thought in March in Scotland we'd have a problem with the sun whilst filming, and that's why I'm taking the long route around in here as well. And apologies, the sun's going to come up behind the camera, but we need to come along here, because if I stood there and filmed this way, you'll just get my shadow all the way across the shot, and it's not going to show you very much. I'm going to position myself to show you what we've been up to. So this is the little row of broad beans we've got here. Like I say, dead simple. Dug a trench, fish blood and bone, put the plants in, filled the trench in. If you can see little pellets on the top there, that's a mix of chicken manure and Vitax Q4. The idea there is the blood, fish and bone gives the plants the nutrition they need straight away. The little pellets will break down with the rain over time, seep the nutrition into the soil and sort of feed the plants over the next 3 to 6 months. All the stuff here, it needs a little bit tidying up. The frame is like an A-frame, that came from Wilko's if people know where it came from. The purple string is paracord, it's a bit messy, it needs tightened up and sorted out. It's fine for the moment though. That came from Amazon. The little, let's see if I can show you them. We've got these little green clips on the plants. They are the easiest things in the world to use. They are absolutely brilliant. Again, with all this stuff, I'll chuck a link in the description down below. The green clips and the paracord in particular are a great combination. I find for doing the peas and the beans outside, the paracord is rock solid. And the green clips just make life 100 times easier than tying things in with little bits of string or twine or whatever. Just use the clips. Honestly, you'll thank me for it. And the last thing to show you today is down here in the polytunnel. And this annoyed me quite a bit because it's not really a problem we've had here before. It's roasting inside the polytunnel today, by the way. It's boiling in here. Now you might remember that we've got some strawberry plants in here. Let me see if I can get this meat and the strawberry plants. So they're in here on top of this floating shelf. Now, they're about ready, probably within the next month. They're going to go out in the bed right down at the bottom of the plot there. Or probably next weekend. I think it's a job for next weekend, actually. We've got it scheduled in after the wedding. I think next Sunday, we'll get that done. We'll get it sorted. But there's a little bit of a problem. So I came up, obviously I've got to water them still when they're in this tray. And when I watered them, loads of little fungus gnats flew off them. Now, I've had this problem before at home, where I do the chilies, the tomatoes, all that sort of stuff, confined, hot, fusty environment, you know, pretty much a breeding ground for fungus gnats, but I've never had them here before at the allotment. And the problem is, you don't realise they're tiny little things that just sort of sit on the compost. They lay eggs that hatch into larvae. The larvae go into the compost and they eat the roots of the plants, and you don't really know what's happening until early plants magically start to die, which isn't really what you want. So sometimes if you give the tray a bit of a shuggle, all the compost gnats fly off them. And I'm going to see if I can catch it on camera. Now I did it just before, so some of them might have flown off and some of them might not, but we'll give it a try. Let's see if we can do this. Right, they might even be so small that they don't get picked up on the camera, but let's give it a bit of a shuggle and see if they come flying off. Now there's a few came flying off there, but we'll do the bigger tray as well and see if we can get them coming up. Here they are, there you go. So there's a few flying around. I don't know if you quite saw them there or not, but it's a bit of a problem. So I'm going to try and get these out absolutely next Sunday. And I mean, they look healthy. They've got green leaves on them. They're growing well, great conditions in the polytunnel at the moment, but I'm just a little bit worried of what damage might have been done under the surface where we can't quite see what's going on. Oh, and that's better. It's absolutely baking hot in there. I think the jumper's going to be coming off for getting on with the rest of the jobs that I'm going to do over the next few hours down here. But anyway, that is me done filming for today. Thank you very much for watching, folks, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye for now.